portion of the program, Jesse. You're the deal today. You're the big guy. And by the way, you can go to the Alpha Media website or the AM 1400 KVFD page or my personal page and see audio and video what's happening in the studio. We have the StreamYard thing going pretty good. So, yeah, we're talking with Senator Green about well, no one likes fraud. You know, no taxpayer likes to think they've been played for a sucker.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes those welfare programs are easy targets, you know. Yeah. We all have a story of seeing some grown man, big, strong, husky guy paying for his groceries with food stamps. It's annoying. I mean, you know, get a job.
Well, the thing that drives, I think, most Republicans is a fear of fraud, whether that's voting fraud, whether that's illegal immigration. I think on every issue, that's our concern because of our view of human nature. We have a negative kind of view of like we're fallen, we're sinful, we're bent towards not doing good or whatever. And in order to be liberal and to have loose policies, you have a very good view of humanity, and so your basis of thinking is based on that, and I think that's the tension on every single issue is right there, how we view the collective.
The collective, you mean
just
the collective human beings, or what?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, let me say this again. I probably don't say it enough, but if you have a question or comment for Senator Green or any of my guests, it's 515-955-1400. That's been the KVFD number for about 50 years, at least, I suppose, a long, long time. So, you're ready for questions, aren't you, Jesse?
You bet. I've only had one. Let's see. I've been coming in here for a year and a half, and only one person has ever called in. So.
Have you been coming in here that long?
It's been a year and a half now.
I tell you, well, you know.
I'll never forget the first time I came in.
Why's that?
I was shaking the whole time.
Now you got two calls.
Yep. Good.
Here we go. You're on the air with Senator Green at KVFD.
Yeah, I've got a question. I've called you about this before, Mike. Since Representative Green is concerned about the idea of the waste and the welfare and that sort of thing, I've been concerned about why it is that somebody can come in and buy potato chips, pop, steak, lobster on food stamps, and nobody's ever addressed that.
That's a pretty good question. Did you get the caller's full question there? That he's asking why people on food stamps are allowed to buy fat food, you know, chips and pop and all these other things, or even more expensive cuts of meat. I don't know why you do that on a limited food stamp budget, but who knows? So, is there some sort of thing we can do about that or not?
Well, I think it's how people use EBT cards and how they're given out. It's interesting how easy it is with the technology that we have to make sure that people spend it on what they need to be. And I thank you for bringing that up. It's something I'll definitely look into. I was a little disheartened last year when we couldn't agree within the chambers about 3 EBT cards or more, that how that should be illegal. When that bill failed, I was disheartened for a long time, pouting. And so now that we're in the summertime and I have time to think and study things, you're right on. There's no reason we can't tighten up on that. So
that's right. And again, there's fraud in every single program. I mean, there's fraud,
and that could be a federal issue too.
It could be. That very well could be. I mean, is there fraud in the farm programs at the federal level? My God, somebody's always getting busted.
Yeah.
But does that answer your question, sir?
Well, yeah. I'm disheartened every time I'm waiting in line somewhere, and people in front of me are buying just ridiculous items that are not a matter of sustaining life and not a matter of health. I mean, if it was health foods, I'd be okay with it. If we had a Whole Food store in town and they were buying Whole Food stuff, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
But buying pop and chips and lobster and things like that, non-necessities. I mean, I can't even afford to buy steak and lobster. So I can't imagine people using it for that, or buying it to do a birthday party and that sort of thing.
Oh, come on, you can afford lobster. Man of your means.
Yeah, I wish I could.
Hey, I got a question for you. I got a question for you, and you're the type of guy who's verbal and can express his thoughts well. So, would it bother you if you saw, say, we're living in Florida, and I know there's 5 families in Florida that control the sugar market. Do you know there's not much of a demand for sugar in the United States? But these 5 families that control the sugar market in Florida have a team of lobbyists, and here's the name of the lobbying group. Are you ready? Citizens for Health. Citizens for Health.
Oh my gosh.
And all they do is lobby to make sure these 5 families get farm price supports payments. That's their whole job. So would you, if you and I were in Florida and we came up on a fabulous home that these families live in, because I've seen one of them, would you be upset about that sort of fraud?
Yes.
What would the suggestion be for you as far as the solution?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't know enough about how government works to be able to intervene in such a thing.
Well, I appreciate the honest answer, and I don't know either. I don't think. Well, maybe Jesse does. We're gonna let him. We're gonna let him talk here in a minute. But we got to keep thinking about it and talking about it until we can't just turn to our state legislatures and say it's your problem. Not anymore. We used to be able to do that. Well, I'm going to put this guy or this woman in there, and they're going to respond to me or whatever. No, we need to come up with answers to our own questions and say we want this done, or we want to know the reason why.
Well, the only thing I would say that would be an improvement is if they change the name to, instead of family health, make it family oral health.
Family what kind of health?
Oral health.
Family oral.
Maintain your teeth. Eat more sugar.
Yeah. Well, I'm diabetic, so I can't do that.
Okay.
I eat too much sugar. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Right. Well, it was a good call. Yeah.
One last thought about the fraud on EBT cards and stuff is a lot of times you'll have, let's say, 5 kids in a household, and Uncle Jesse is living here with the parents as well, and they all claim the children as dependents. That's a very common form of it could be just a misunderstanding, and that's a hard thing when it comes to voter fraud or other situations, is you have to determine intent. And so that's very hard to do if somebody was blatantly trying to use the system. And so again, I need to dig a little bit deeper on that, but I do know that's probably one of the most common forms of misuse is when there's a lot of kids in one household and multiple family members.
Yeah, that's no good. That's these. It's easy to get mad about these things, and I make a living getting mad, frankly, but it's easy to get mad at these things. But we got to take a lot of things into consideration. You're a conservative guy as I am, but I'm not in favor of letting kids go hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in favor of children and single mothers, despite the horrendous choices they've made from living in unsafe housing.
Well, one thing that drives my worldview as well as far as decision making is that I do have a very positive view of our nonprofit organizations or civic organizations, and some people don't even put that into the equation, that they are a major part of how society works and our solutions. And so from my worldview, I think our nonprofits are better capable than what most people give them credit for to address some of these issues. And I think that's the most responsible and humane way of addressing most of these issues.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can't forget we're Christian men or Christian people. Mm-hmm. There are those who aren't a member of the Christian faith, and they have every right to live here, every right to hold office. They are equal citizens in every single way. But here in Iowa, especially in Fort Dodge, where we still have 6 Lutheran churches and a couple of Methodist churches, I don't think we should forget that we're Christian men when we talk about governance. Tim Kreinbrink doesn't. I got to get a hold of Rusty O'Neill out of Iowa Central, because Tim he took a few minutes at the Exit Issues on Saturday and made a real solid moral and intellectual case, a real statement of faith and the logic that it takes to be a state senator. He did a terrific job. I'd like to. Unfortunately, I wasn't recording what he was saying at the time, but it was very good. It was very good. It's not good to come up to a very poor family, drop a little bit of money in their lap and walk away. We need to, if they need a bridge type of thing to get, if they had a disaster or something, and I'm doing all the talking here, I'm going to turn it over to you in a minute.
Yeah.
We don't want people to be on welfare forever. Generational welfare like we have in some places.
Yeah. Well, and again, it goes back to the breakdown of the family. But what I appreciate about Tim is when he talks about these issues, you can't find a more tender heart than Tim's. Sometimes appears like he has a hard shell, but look at all the foster kids that him and his wife have taken care of. And he definitely has put into action his worldview of compassion and on the individual level and on all levels. Government is a reflection of society. And I think, at least my Republican colleagues, I think we all agree on that.
We were talking off mic in talk radio school. They tell us to don't hold anything back. Be as emotional as you need to be, but don't forget to tell people what really moves you. And that's what Senator Kreinberg did, and more political figures need to do that, because Tim, for a while, Tim was the first time I met Tim, I liked him and his wife, great people. But I thought he was kind of a regular Republican. He was put on earth to cut taxes. Maybe that's the way he saw it, but I was completely wrong about him. And the longer I know him, the more admiration I have for him. He's really a good, solid man, caring family man, grandpa, the whole thing.
Just watching him, I've grown so much because I think a lot of people mix up confidence with arrogance and stuff like that. And there's been a couple meetings where somebody is giving talking points, advocating for taxpayer dollars, and we were all sitting there listening, nodding our heads in agreement to the talking points. And Tim listened the whole time, and at the end of that, he pushed back in a very confident and respectful way. There was not a lick of disrespect with it at all, and making sure that the person that was giving the talking points were accountable for what they were asking for. Right. And in that moment, I'll never forget, he's the chair of appropriations. And I was like, yes, that's the taxpayer's man right there. That's exactly what the taxpayers expect from elected leaders. So from that point forward, I said, I need to try to get educated as fast as I can so I can do it in the same way that he did.
Performing our duties in an orderly and business-like fashion, especially if you're in politics or business, or in your personal life, that should be a Christian imperative. We should own that as Christian people, that this is the way we live our lives. This is the way we'd like our state to run. We hold office where we open businesses and run them efficiently because it's a Christian imperative to do so. Yeah. We should not be slackers. Jesus, of course, reminded us about the poor, and we should heed his words. Absolutely. Yeah. This is not religious radio, by the way. I spent plenty of time down the top hat when I was young. Hey, come on. But I really believe that. As I've grown and matured, I've stayed away from the top hat and done a little more thinking and about what I really believe and why. And I'm confident in those. As you said, confidence and arrogance. I'm not the least bit arrogant. I don't think. But
I think a lot of people wrestle with that in our society today. There is a big difference between confidence and arrogance. Confidence is based on knowledge and your view of other people, and arrogance is based on sometimes lack of knowledge, puffed up knowledge, or just selfishness. But the way that it is envisioned by other people can sometimes be hard to decipher. But
yeah. That's right. You have about a couple of minutes here, Jesse, and our guest is Senator Jesse Green, who's had his second call on air today. So if you have a question or comment for Senator Green, it's 515-955-1400, 955-1400. I just made it easier for you to call by clearing up the phone line. So if you do have a question, 955-1400. But sum up for us just briefly, exit issues and the indecision and where you're at now. And will Governor Reynolds call you guys back into session, or?
Yeah, at some point we'll have to come back and look at the redistricting maps. And I think there are a couple bills that might be considered during that time. I don't know the details of that, but there could be an opportunity for that. So I expect in August, possibly September, to have to go back for a couple days and iron some things out. But in the meantime, every single day, I'm really enjoying visiting city councils. My goal is, I don't know if I'll reach that goal, is to hit every town's city council at least once a year. If Grassley can hit 99 counties a year, I think I should be able to hit my city council.
I think you probably should.
But last week I had a great time visiting lockers to see what problems they have and how our state dollars have been utilized. I was really encouraged by Ridgeport Locker. They put in a $30,000 freezer. It's just massive. You could park a semi into it, and that's the result of a government investment last year to expand our capacity in our meat processing industry. So another locker that I visited is just a startup locker, and you can tell he's frustrated. He's having hard times getting employees. The Bridgeport locker, they don't have any issues with employment issues, but the Williams one, they could use some more help. And so I think my mind was kind of turning with that about the apprenticeship programs, looking into encouraging high school students to help these lockers out and maybe think about an occupation in that field. And then the Stanhope locker, they're doing really well with their government help.
Jesse, I'm sorry to cut you off, but we're going to have to go.
Right.
It's
It was a
4
pleasure.
o'clock.
Thank
It's
you.
a pleasure to me. Senator Jesse Green has been here.
Hi, this is Leslie Segretti.
And I'm Tom Kreitler, and you can hear the Money Pit every Saturday afternoon from 4 to 6.